Hello and a very warm welcome back. Today I want to upcycle some of these fabric scraps, and these really are scraps. They are not big enough for crumb quilting as there's not enough width left for seam allowances, and I just don't want to throw these out because I always think there's something you can still do with what might be waste. The plan is to make a little pouch for my earphones, and I've got a piece of wadding. This is a leftover piece from my last quilting project, and I've cut it so there's enough width each side for seams, and also to allow a little bit extra space for the scraps and also a lining inside. So I've got this fabric, isn't this lovely, vintage style print, which I'm going to use for the lining. To start with, I've got a piece of selvage edge, and I've laid it over one end of the piece of wadding, and I'm just going to start stitching that down. And you can also weave in and out with the stitching to catch edges, so it doesn't have to be a straight stitch all the way. And I don't mind any threads that are hanging out. I do want this to be quite rustic in style. A few little pieces here that are left over from crumb quilting. They were not big enough to add to another piece as there was not enough seam allowance left, but they're great for a project like this because it can add colour and texture, so don't throw these away. If you want to have a watch of the crumb quilting video, I'll link it above for you. I've got a few really small cut-offs of Liberty Bias binding from our website, and again I just can't bear to throw these out because they're still useful and really pretty, so I'm going to add some of these as well. a few more times with different colour threads and change the width of the stitching as well. This is the back. So this is the piece, and I've just ironed it as well just to flatten it and straightened up all the edges. So the two pieces are exactly the same size now. And have a think which side you want to fold up and over. And it's going to look like this. I've decided to have the seams on the outside. I quite like the frayed edges, and it also means that there isn't so much bulk on the inside. I'm going to add some clips going all the way around now. And I'll do one stitch quite close to the edge all the way round, just to secure all those little edges here. And the next step after that will be to fold it over and sew the side seams. I've folded the bottom up and just double checked that I've got enough space on the inside, and I've left quite a long piece to fold over. So I'm just going to widen the zigzag stitch again to 2.5, and the length is set to 2. I'm sewing fairly close to the edge, but not quite a 1/4 inch, so somewhere in between, but it doesn't really matter. Just do what is right for your project. And back stitch right up to the edge, maybe a couple of times going back and forwards. And the same at the bottom. And I'm going to go over it again one more time. I've got some ribbon here, and I'm going to sew them on the fold over as a closure. You could, if you didn't want the ends exposed, you could actually sew this into the lining before you do the stitch all around to secure the edges, but I really like to have this on the outside. all done. This is what it looks like. You've got the lining, and it's actually a really nice size for my earphones. I added a little ceramic butterfly. I just love these. They're made by Cherry Hill Studio. She has a Etsy shop as well if you want to have a look. I added this instead of a button, and I thought I could feed through these ribbons. It's a little bit fiddly, but that also means it's not going to come undone that easily. So I hope you enjoyed this little project of upcycling some of your very smallest scraps. And obviously there's lots of different ways that you could use this pouch. You could add a little zip on the inside or some Velcro, for example, and use it as a little purse. Keep it in the car for a bit of parking change. Or you could keep your snips in there, a few needles, as a sewing travelling kit. I'm sure you have lots of other ideas as well. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me, and I hope you'll have a go, and do let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you. Thanks so much. See you again soon. Bye bye.